We have finally made it to the very last lesson of new content for this topic. It has been a long topic, this Algebra 1. There is a lot of things to remember, so make sure that you're constantly revising and going through what we have learnt. So our last lesson is the zero index and power of a power. So when any number, not including 0, is raised to a power of 0, the answer is always 1. So something to the power of 0 is always 1. And this is law number 3. Anything, so we've got A here, anything to the power of 0 is always equal to 1. Okay, so that's the zero index. This last law, law number 4, is power to a power. So that happens when we have brackets like this, where we have a base of A, it might be A to the power of 2, could be some number in there. So we have a little power already. But then we have brackets and we have another power outside. When that happens, you want to multiply the m with the n. So your sheet, I'm sure, will look correctly, but that needs to be a little multiply sign in there. So to expand those brackets out, we multiply the m with the n. So let's have a look at the examples so I can show you how to do this. So first of all, always be looking out for anything to the power of 0. So example number 1a, 35 to the power of 0. Well, remember law number 3? Anything to the power of 0 is equal to 1. Okay, part B, m to the power of 0. Well, law number 3, anything to the power of 0 is equal to 1. Part C, 9 times a to the power of 0. Okay, again, anything to the power of 0 is equal to 1. But we do need to be a little bit careful. What is to the power of 0? The a is to the power of 0, so that is equal to 1. But this 9, it's separate. So we actually have 9 times 1. So the answer for this one is actually 9. So look out for extra bits that are not part of the indice that you might have to add or multiply in there as well. So also very similar is D. We have 2 to the power of 0. Well, the 2 to the power of 0 is going to be equal to 1. But then we have a plus 6 next to it. So our question is really 1 plus 6. Well, 1 plus 6 equals 7. E. X to the power of 6 to the power of 0. That is saying that all of this x to the power of 6, everything in that bracket is to the power of 0, so that is equal to 1. So you could put something really messy and yucky inside that bracket. If it is all to the power of 0, then it will be equal to 1. Okay, when we come to part F, we're actually moving on to the fourth law. So remember I said when we have a power in the bracket and another power out of the bracket, then the base stays the same and we multiply those powers together. 3 times 5 is 15. Okay, G is similar. So D is the base and we multiply the powers. 6 times 5 is 30. If there are 2 bases inside the bracket, we need to multiply each power with that 4. Now, you're probably saying there is only one power. Well, actually, this A has a power. It would just be a 1 because we don't normally write 1s when they're a power of 1. So for H, for a base of A, we would go 1 times 4 is 4. And for a base of B, we would go 2 times 4, which is 8. Okay, part I, this should be a multiply sign here. We have to expand each of those brackets before we do the multiplication. So the first one has a base of K. When we have the 2 powers next to each other, we multiply them. 3 times 2 is 6. Okay, then I'm going to leave the multiplication sign. And then we have a second one with a base of K, and we multiply those powers together. 5 times 4 is 20. Okay, so we've expanded the brackets out using the fourth law. Now to do the multiplication here, we're actually going all the way back to the first law. When we multiply things with the same bases, we add the powers. So k stays the base. 6 plus 20 is 26. J. If we have a number, a big number, not a power, in the bracket, we have to do that number to the power that is out here. So we have to go 3 to the power of 2. Now remember, a power of 2 just means 3 times 3. Or you can type it in your calculator. You can go 3 with your little power button, 3 to the power of 2. That equals 9. Okay, the common mistake here is just to go 3 times 2 and put a 6. Please don't fall for that trap. It needs to be 3 to the power of 2. Okay, then we can do the fourth law with the base of m. Those little powers there we need to multiply together. 7 times 2 is 14. Next page, k. Okay, we have a little multiplication sign in here. So we want to do brackets first. That's order of operations. We always deal with brackets first. So remember, we have a big number at the front. So that means we need to do 2 to the power of 3. So that means 2 times 2 times 2, or on your calculator, that will give you 8. Then for the base of x, we multiply the powers. 4 times 3 is 12. Then the multiplication sign. For the second one, we want to do 3 to the power of 2. So 3 to the power of 2 is equal to 9. Then for the base of y, we want to times the powers. 2 times 2 is 4. Now, once we've done the brackets, we can do the multiplication. So we can go 8 times 9, and we get 72. But they have different bases, so we can't actually add those powers together. Please don't add those powers together. That rule only works for the same bases. We will just have to write them down here as 2 separate bases, x to the power of 12, y to the power of 4, and that's all we can do. L. This looks a bit tricky. We have a fraction in there, and everything inside that bracket needs to be squared. So that means both of these numbers need to be squared. So 5 squared is 25, and 3 squared is 9. Then for the letters, for the base of m, we times the powers. 3 times 2 is 6, and for base of n, 4 times 2 is 8. Now you would want to check if there was any simplifying there. You would type in 25 over 9, but that fraction will not simplify. Also, the m and the n, we have different bases here, so they can't be collected up either. That is as simple as we can get that expression there. Okay, question 2, just to throw in some extra fun ones here for you. Okay, again, that needs to be a multiplication sign. And this one down here is a divide sign. So deal with the brackets first. So the big 5, we need to do 5 to the power of 3. 5 to the power of 3 is 125. Then base of x, you times the powers together. 2 times 3 is 6. Now let's go to the second bracket. We have a big 5 there that we want to the power of 4. You'll probably need your calculator for that one. That makes 625. X is the base times the powers together. 3 times 4 is 12. On the bottom, we have 5 to the power of 3 is 125. X is the base, and we times the powers. 6 times 3 is 18. Okay, we still have a bit to do in this question. The next step would be to do the multiplication on the top of that question. So we need to multiply 125 by 625, that makes a very large number, 78125. Now both of those have a base of x, which means when we're multiplying, we would add those powers together. 6 plus 12 makes 18. Okay, I'm not going to do anything with the bottom on this line, so I'm just going to write that down again. The last step is to do the division here. So first of all, I'm hoping that these horrible numbers at the front here will simplify down. So you type in 78,125 divided by 125, or with a fraction 125, and that actually comes out as a nice whole number, 625. Now the x's, there's an x on the top and an x on the bottom, so both have a base of x. And when we're dividing, we would want to subtract those powers. So we have 18 minus 18, which makes 0. Those x's disappear. Okay, so that one is actually finished. All the x's disappear, and the answer is just 625. All right, very last question is D. We're going to finish with a super fun one. So first of all, we want to expand out the bracket. So everything in there, all those bases, we want to times each one with the 10. So the A, 2 times 10 is 20. The B, 3 times 10 is 30. The C, 4 times 10 is 40. Over, okay, I'm not doing anything with the other ones yet, I'm just going to write them down. A to the 10, B to the 20, and C to the 30. Now, to save myself some time in writing this down over and over again, I am going to turn that divide into a times and turn that second fraction upside down. B squared over A cubed. Okay, on the next line, we're going to do the multiplication, okay, which means multiplying the tops together. Now, the only thing in here is this base of B. I want to bring that in with this other base of B. So the A stays the same, but the B, because we're multiplying, we add the powers. 30 plus 2 is 32, and C to the power of 40. Now on the bottom, we have this A to the power of 3 that we need to multiply in with this one, with this A. So we add the powers. 10 plus 3 is 13, but the B stays the same and the C stays the same. Okay, last step is to do the division. Now you do each different base separately. So let's start with the base of A. When we divide, we subtract the powers. So we have 20 minus 13, that's 7. For B, we subtract the powers. 32 minus 20 is 12. And for C, 40 minus 30 is 10. And that is the answer. All done.